Hey there, folks, and welcome back to the Dammâseq Campaign. Last time we took on our southern neighbors of Carnium and Salkad in a costly but ultimately successful war. We then spent the rest of the episode doing some post-war reconstruction efforts. The areas are largely under control. Loyalty is on the decline a little bit in most of them, mostly due to us having negative stability and the loss of that happiness omen, or passive I mean, from our religion. But we are working very hard on assimilating everybody, and that's going to do a lot to help. In an emergency, we can switch any of these over to local autonomy, if that's called for, but I don't think it really is at the minute. Now, we are ready to do another colonization using our manpower, so we will get to that in just a second. But first, I did go ahead between episodes and look at the marriage situation for my kids. Now, I think at this time, my plan is going to be to switch to familial marriage, so I can have true equal succession. Even though agnatic cognatic seems like it would be the same idea, this doesn't make your female characters higher in the line of succession before male characters. It only gives them a place in the line altogether if there's no males left. So it's kind of all of your boys in age order descending, and then all of your girls in age order descending with agnatic cognatic. So that would be fine. However, our current oldest son isn't great. And I think the main thing that's made me decide to go for familial marriage and get the true equal succession so my daughter has priority is she just flatly has better stats in every area. Her martial isn't amazing, but none of my children have standout martial, and I can manage with 5, and I do have a plan with the marriage thing to kind of address that a little bit. So we will have a downgrade in total martial, but only by a little bit as opposed to another additional point. Also, all of the other stats are better on my daughter Arishat over my son Girimilki. So, you know, finesse-wise, 6 finesse is the same as Imperator, so that wouldn't be a change. She actually has better charisma than him by quite a large amount, 9 charisma, so she could be quite a good diplomatic ruler. And additionally, 5 martial is again the same, or 5 zeal, I mean, not martial. She also has 5 martial, but 5 zeal is what I was trying to say there, is the same as the 5 zeal for Imperator. Whereas my son only has 1 zeal. Now, one thing that I can do to offset the stat situation is get these characters married. At the moment, it won't have any effect on stat stuff, but they would be able to start having kids of their own, and this just helps secure the Aberrid family's longer succession situation so we don't have a weird series of family deaths leading to our line collapsing. That would be obviously not ideal. So, however, getting them married also can be a prelude to my plan of who gets to be the successor. So if I keep my laws as it currently is, it may be beneficial to have Girimilki get a banger wife with great stats to boost up his stats, although again, as we talked about in the first episode, that only affects the ruler modifiers from this. It won't affect his governor or general performance. And although 4-5 isn't terrible, ultimately 5-6 is better than 4-5, just flatly so. And so in terms of being a general or being a governor, Asherat really is in a superior position. And also, I did look at the spouse partnership options. For Girimilki, we could get him married to another 17-year-old, so looking for similar age spouses is important. Mutanbal, in particular, is one of his relatives, it looks like. She's an Aberrid. She's not directly in his family, but she's in the house more broadly, so this is an internal house marriage, which is fine. 7-9-6-3. This would actually boost all of his stats on the national level, so she would be quite an important spouse. But that wouldn't necessarily solve his sort of weakness compared to his sister in terms of his direct role as governor or marshal. In terms of his sister, if we go and take a look at her, she has more options because men in this game tend to get married less often, or the game just generates less female characters for nations that can't have female officers. I don't know what the situation is, we just have a lot of male characters kind of milling around, and I'm trying to look for somebody who's of a similar age. For her, the best person I found is actually, oddly enough, this 23-year-old Ahrim Ormitba. He's in that new rising Ormitba family, and stat-wise, he does give her 1 additional martial and a bit more zeal on the national effect level. All the other characters didn't boost her martial on the national effect, and though some of them have, for example, better finesse, which could boost up her governor effects from finesse, let's remember that in terms of the stats boosting, finesse boosts build cost and commerce, which is fine, but martial boosts manpower recovery and morale recovery, which is more important, I think. Incidentally, I think that martial and zeal are the most important stats for consorts, because the zeal effect from consort that they can give you boosts stab change, which is really important. So all this to say, all of this kind of explanation to say, the situation here is that my son, who is the current successor, has a really strong potential wife, but that doesn't mean that his general or governorship role will be better than his sister. She has a pretty good potential husband, and ultimately, when I weigh everything, I do think that it does make sense to go over and have my daughter, Arashat, be the successor. Now, this does require that law change, although this is a law change that I think I kind of like the idea of anyways, because this way we could just have a lot of certainty about who the heir is going to be. So this is going to require 35 PI and 15 more stability. Doing this law change is going to require a bit of a recovery period for our stability, as we are only at 47. So I think one thing I should probably do is, before I... Yeah, let me actually do it like this. I think the first thing I'm going to do this in a really specific order. I'm first... Actually, no, I need 75. I have to wait a bit longer. 806. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to do this after all. So oh no, actually this is because of regional power. It's not because of the timeline thing. 75 is probably too high, actually. I guess I can just go for the law change once I have the PI, to be honest. We're going to go for the law change to get familial marriage. This is going to make my daughter the heir. We're ahead of schedule on this. We're not going to die of old age anytime soon, hopefully. But you never know what could happen to Ipter Dagon. He does have some gray hair now. 44 years old. That's middle-aged in this time period. So... with that in mind, I will go ahead and get the marriages arranged, just because I want them to start having their own families. This will also give us a chance to kind of see what Arashat's children are like. If we do live many more decades with Ipter Dagon, which is what I hope we can see, I hope to at least see him forming the first formable, the nation of Aram, in his lifetime. I think we can probably for sure do this. Probably he's not going to make it to form Canaan himself, but his descendants will. Either way, I think what we can do now is go ahead and get those marriages arranged so that our kids can start having kids, and we're catching some pretty good candidates. Something I've noticed when doing some research on the wiki and on the forums about the marriage stuff in this game is that NPCs tend to get married pretty quickly, so having two pretty good marriage arrangements available at the same time for my two possible heirs is pretty good. So let's go ahead and get these arranged. Even if Giramilki never becomes the king, if that is the case, then him having a really good character as a wife isn't bad either, so it's not really a problem. So let's go ahead and get these arranged. So we're going to first of all have Giramilki married to Mutanbal. So let's go for that. A suitable match. While Giramilki has enjoyed life immensely as a man of leisure, he summoned an envoy this very morning to deliver a proposal of marriage to the beautiful young maiden Mutanbal, hoping to produce heirs to further legitimize the Avar dynasty. And this is an internal dynastic marriage, so this is definitely going to strengthen the dynasty either way. Despite the appearance of Ipter Dagon, head of the Abarid family, it seems that all concerns were salved by the fine clothes that Giramilki had offered up in support of his proposal. So Giramilki came in with the drip, so that is going to smooth things over, and we can go ahead and get this marriage going. Yep, loyalty for both these characters, that's great. Actually, loyalty for Ipter Dagon, so that's me, so I guess I get loyalty for this. Splendid. Alright, great stuff. Now he has a spouse around his same age, so that's good to see. Yeah, and then over here, let's attend to my daughter now. Okay, so, search by age. I do think Ahiram is the best character here. No bad loyalty traits for what that's worth. We could marry her to the up-and-coming Tabnet or Mitba, who would give her... Actually, he wouldn't give her anything. He gave her a bit more zeal, but that's basically it. Let's see, this guy is aggressive and generous, so interesting. I could marry her to someone a little closer to her age, but there's just not a super strong candidate down in this area. What I really want is more martial or more zeal. So all these characters, until Ahiram, don't give her any more martial on the national effect. And zeal-wise, some of them give her a little bit of zeal, but Ahiram gives her the most zeal, so I think this is our best match here. Suitable match. After careful deliberation, assessment of potential spouses, and a great deal of research into various bloodlines and heritages, Asherat summoned her aides and issued an offer of marriage to Ahiram of the Ormitba dynasty, despite the appearance of Hiram. Okay, so it looks like it's the family head that comes in when we do this. It seems that all concerns were solved by the promise of eternal fidelity that Asherat has offered up in support of her proposal. So she is going to stay his loyal wife, it seems, forever. That's a good idea. Whatever the case, we get some loyalty with these two characters. Getting loyalty with the family head is also quite nice, so we do get some good political effect from this on the side. Alright. Splendid. Let's arrange the festivities. Okay, so we got ourselves some marriages for our kiddos. My other son's Himilko, he's 7, so I'm not going to arrange any marriages. He's too young. And then obviously, yeah, Milk is a toddler still, so no need to worry about that. So yeah, so at this point, I guess what we could do is wait a little longer, but I think I will probably go for familial marriage. Ultimately, I think with these spouse arrangements as well, I do prefer the potential of my daughter being the queen with her spouse. Although now, at least Garamilki has a really strong spouse, so if he ends up being the heir, or ends up being the successor, for whatever reason, whether we die abruptly or I just decide to not proceed with my daughter as the queen, he's going to at least come in with a really good spouse to boost up his stats on the national level. So that is pretty good to be sure. Let's go ahead and resume here. Yeah, so at this point, we're just building back up our resources. I guess I could spend manpower, but I kind of want to do the law change. That being said, though, can I really take 15 stability right now? I'm not sure I can. That's a lot of happiness. Let me think about this for a minute. I guess we could hold it off a little bit. We're not likely to die right away. I think we should spend our PI for now on colonization. So, in terms of where we want to colonize... Sorry, someone's mowing their lawn right outside. I don't know if you can hear that in the recording. Hopefully not. It's loud for me. So, we could colonize Alshe to get a new plains tile, but these are all wrong culture Dammâseq, who are not going to be very helpful for us. We could also colonize one of these marshes to get some... Actually, these are all Dammâseq as well. Actually, no, Dammâseq is my culture. What am I talking about? That was a brain fog moment right there. Yeah, so we do want Dammâseq. We don't want Sa'aru. That's... Wow, okay. Anyways, so Alshe would be in the Sa'aru province, so this population would be a little wasted with cultural assimilation. Alternatively, we could get someone over here. A lot of these are tribesmen, though. There might be some value in getting Hadara to get a little bit closer to these guys over here, Yabrudu. These guys are very isolated over here in the desert hills, but this might be a good person to take on to get a section of Kadesh if we were so inclined. I don't know if we want to do that, but it is an option that we should consider. And we do get, let's see, 1 freeman and 3 tribesmen, and that's going to be true for all these spots. This place here gives us 4 freemen and 1 tribesman. So actually, this is the most valuable place to do it. So I think because we get the most freemen from this, and that's the most manpower, let's go ahead and colonize here in Alshe. Use up a lot of our manpower for this, but we get more manpower in the long term from that, so works for me. Alright, and that also makes our name look a bit better by not having this blank spot in the middle. Right, now down here in Darik, the city is under construction until the start of 803, so we'll let that continue. And yeah, let us continue. Our PI influence is now up quite a bit. Or PI influence, our PI gain is up quite a bit, so that's pretty good. I think we may as well just continue doing colonization with our manpower to get the rest of these areas for our mission tree. Yeah, there's no reason to rush here. We can just take it easy, continue relaxing. The succession is secure, so all is well. Let me just, to be thorough, check and see if things are where they need to be around here. Okay, we need to move some people into these spots here. I'm going to move some of these slaves into Dammâseq so that they're in a more productive spot. Ain Alfej. Actually, you know what? Can I get a fruit surplus from over here? I guess we have a fruit surplus already, so let's not worry about that right now. And then for Kudsaya as well. Alright, let's move some more props in here. Let's move 2 in here just to give them more time to... Let's move out of Dammâseq some Yeah, we should prioritize moving non-Dammâseq out of the Dammâseq Oasis, or the Damascus Oasis, because Damascus Oasis does not have assimilation going, so we want to move non-Dammâseq out of here as best we can. And then actually, Pops. Are there any non-Dammâseq slaves that aren't bordering these spaces I can move through Dammâseq? Let me see. No, it's just this one slave, and they live over here. So I think all of the other people here are not slaves. Yeah, there's 2 of them. And there's 1 more somewhere. Can I find them? I don't know where they are. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, let's move Dawn. So we moved 1 in here now, so let's move 1 more. Let's move 1 from Dammâseq. Let's move the 1 from Dammâseq into here. From Dammâseq, here they are. The Kanata slave will move over here. Alright, good. Glad to notice that. And then, other than that, things are going good around here. We'll check back maybe at the start of 803. Make sure simulation is continuing wherever there is a simulation. So here it's all Dammâseq, and I think, yeah, let's move a non-Dammâseq into Alshe. Pop here. Let's see here. Move them from probably Darik. Actually, Darik has a lot of assimilation bonuses, so let's not move them from Darik. Move them from Kiswa. There we go. Alright, and then over here, progressing along just fine. Also, I realized between episodes that Jaber is a normal location. I just didn't colonize it. That's why I was confused about not being able to build a fort there. But I don't own this territory, so that's why forts aren't allowed. I have to own it first, so we'll attend to that when we get the chance. It's not a high priority right now, but Jaber is a good tile to control for fort coverage, as I discussed last time. So we will get to that when the time is right. But I think for now, everything around here is assimilating. Yep, I'm just checking on the assimilation to make sure that everyone is being assimilated where they need to be. Alright. We could also use up our money to build training camps in some of these locations. Oh, we have a 6th cohort now. That's quite good. Alright, so that's the assimilation paying off there. We're at 81 Dammâseq now, and that is largely from assimilation. Remember, we had only some number of Dammâseq in the world, and we do still have a couple more tiles to grab, but at this point, most of our new Dammâseq are going to be from assimilating. Some are going to be from pop growth, but that happens so slowly, it's not really a reliable way to get more quickly. With 6 cohorts, I feel pretty safe. I think that the idea of allying with somebody like... Ooh, actually, Ebla is taking on Ugarid right now. That's a pretty big victory if they manage to pull this off. That's a lot of territory. Religion is the same, obviously, but different culture group, though, so they're not going to be very easy for them to maintain. Alright, Ainthakar has been fortified. Good. This is just a big priority to protect this area. If someone did attack us now, they would have to some extent, deal with Ainthakar. They could pretty easily maneuver around it with just a little bit of creativity, but I think the AI tends to not like to go around forts like that. They will probably focus on it. And it just protects this provincial capital, which is quite nice. So, happy to see that. This is mostly probably from AE. Yeah, we just have to keep waiting on that. Yeah, I think changing our law right now would be nice, but it's not necessary. Oh, you know what? Under the guidance of Ahiram Milkramid, Dammâseq has gone from strength to strength. Some of our advisors are recommending the institution of a new tax in order that the national treasury might share in this prosperous era. 50% more taxes for Dammâseq for 10 years, or for 5 years, is quite good. I guess that previous tax thing went away. Yeah, that's going to be something like, let's see, 0.6, 0.7 gold per turn per month. Losing popularity on this guy isn't that big of a deal. Or 6 stability. This is worth more, I think. Actually, this is more of a tough call. I rarely say that the stability options aren't worth as much, but I think that if we do this, we can then do the familial marriage law change a little sooner. So, yeah, I think this won't be worth that much, and money is not our main bottleneck resource. PI and stability are, so this is actually better for us. So we have no need for gold, more stability for me. We have a lot of negative trend now, so we definitely do want to go and change that law once we have enough PI. So, yep, I think that was the smart move. And this just gets our succession cleared up, so there's no more questioning. We have another daughter now named Ashera. Alright, similar name to our first daughter. 18 years her junior, so that is quite an impressive long-term family thing. At 36, my wife is still apparently giving birth, so that is nice to see. Great work. Okay. I guess that's fine. We shall see if anything comes of that, but I suspect probably nothing too substantial. We have a little city-state over here, the Ricatian revolts. Oh, you know what? Rakat was killed by Tyre. So that is interesting. We now border Tyre, I'll call it Tyre, I think. So Tyre has 59 Tyrians, which is not probably 6 cohorts. I think that's probably 5 cohorts. They have been expanding like crazy, but not at the same pace we have been. And they haven't been assimilating, or they seemingly haven't been assimilating. So these guys aren't as strong as they look. We have a clear advantage over them, although they're probably the most powerful nation that borders us at the moment. In fact, they almost for sure are. Interesting. Alright, so the coming of the city of Darik. Our extension of new privileges and investments into the local infrastructure have seen Darik grow from a relative humility into a true Dammâseq city. While it still has some way to go before it can rival the great cities of our age, the past 2 years have ushered in a new era of growth and urbanization in this territory. Okay, we have ourselves a new city down here in the, here it is, in the plains. So yeah, definitely not the most lush city in the universe, but this is perfectly fine, and in this province, this is one of the better spots, definitely. We're not going to be able to get these great oases clusters everywhere. So, with this in mind, do we want to do anything now with Darik? I think the training camp is probably... Actually, it is better suited for Darik. We have a lot more people down in Darik than in Rauda right now. Interesting. Where'd all these people go? I do not know. Also, Darik, it's the same number of freemen, but tribesmen-wise, it is more. We have to look at these particular pops, because the training camp only really affects freemen and tribesmen, so we should keep that in mind. Yeah, so I think we're going to probably next spend our money on a training camp in Darik. I could also save up to build another city, maybe one in Ainthakar, but Ainthakar is literally just 4 slaves who live here, so it's not really a center of the nation quite yet. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go with that. And, yep, everything is good. Let us resume. How much strength are these guys going to have ultimately? Because this is more than I remember them having before. These guys like leveled up their power level or something. I do not know. Okay, so we could go ahead and do familial marriage. So this is going to take us down to 38 stability, which is very low. But with our current AE, we have such bad stability trend that being that low should actually return us to positive stability trend, which would be nice at least. This is going to really upset everybody because of the loss of stability. It's going to reduce everybody's happiness. But I think at the minute we can survive a period of outrage at adopting the incest law. So hopefully people... I mean, as you see, like, look, like, these guys aren't going to do incest. I've already gotten them set up with... I guess this guy is related to her. She also has a son already, Aberami, son Aberami Aberid. So they've already had a kid together, so... Technically, she's in the family, but she's not like a close family member. She's just in the house more conceptually. So, we don't know how related they are. Maybe they're distant cousins or something. Whatever the case. No incest happening in this campaign, at least for now, when I think it's going to benefit the nation. We may do a little bit of incest, just out of necessity, but not for now. So whatever the case, I think we will go ahead and do that law change. To familial marriage. So in this manner of succession, the eldest child of the ruler will be the primary heir, regardless of gender. In order to secure a strong, legitimate bloodline, however, it becomes commonplace for royal siblings to intermarry, thus avoiding any chance for the lineage to be sullied. Now, I should note that when I click this, it's very likely that my son will not be happy about this, but we'll just have to deal with him when the time comes. So, let's go for it. Alright. So, stability has plummeted because of that. We're down to a minus 11% pop happiness, but we do have a lot of stability upward trends now, for what that's worth. Legitimacy took a big hit too, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. And we now have a new succession line with our daughter. Our oldest son is next in line. He's very, very close, and his loyalty is definitely not in a great spot. He's a pretender, and yeah. Also, he's not happy about diverting his education. That should go away, though, in time. So, I think this is the right call, but we shall see how things pan out with our now planned successor, Arashat Abarid, the Queen of Herman, Queen of Dammâseq, Queen of Aram, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think we're good. Speculating official. It has come to our attention that our trusted advisor, Ahram Milkramid, has been siphoning funds from our treasury into his own pocket for some time. The disappearance of monies collected from across Dammâseq eventually aroused suspicion, which, combined with eyebrow-raising extravagances such as extremely flattering statues of Ahram being erected, could not be written off as mere coincidence. Abuses of this kind surely must not be tolerated, lest the entire state apparatus become a charade for personally enriching vain aristocrats. The specific punishment is up for debate. So this guy is actually, I think, in a really good position for his stat. Where is he? Yeah, he's 9 out of 9. This is a masterful steward, so I really don't want to fire this guy. I could get 44 gold from him, which would be quite nice. Although I'd also gain 5 corruption. He gets a ton of corruption, which shouldn't matter. We'll have to pay him more, because he's my officer. So if we plan to keep him on, this isn't really the best option. We could fire him, or we could imprison him and gain even more money. And we gain no tyranny? Or, we do gain tyranny. We gain no corruption. That's what I'm surprised about. Oh, because we have upstanding character. Okay, well, he's a family character, so the family won't like this. This is the Milkramid family. Let me take a look and see what their situation is. 3 out of 2, so they would actually not mind losing one office, although they may all get affected by one of their guys being imprisoned. He's not the family head, thankfully. He's just an important, he's more of like a high-ranking family character. But this is definitely a tempting option. He loses a ton of loyalty and corruption. I could imprison him, and then I could actually sell him into slavery, but I think that might be a little over the top, just for some embezzlement. I also get 25 popularity. Wow, that's a level of pop gain I rarely see from these events. That's actually a very, very strong mark for going in this direction, and the 90 gold is definitely quite valuable. Getting 3 more tyranny isn't going to be that big of a deal. We already have so much tyranny, and it's not affecting us that much, so I think we go for this. Yeah, we've imprisoned Ahram at Milkramid. Now, that being said, though, I could just let him go free and then put him back into that position. This is quite corrupt, but we're not gaining in-game corruption, we're just acting corruptly. So I think we could release him, or we could sell him? No, it's not worth it anyways. Also, all of the Milkramids get furious at that, understandably. We could send him to be a gladiator, but let's not do anything goofy here. Let's just go ahead and release him. And go ahead and reinstate him immediately. So, yep, things didn't really change that much, but we just got a bunch of gold and popularity kind of for free. So, I think CK3 has a mechanic like this, where if you do that kind of action, it's not allowed to reinstate them. But this game doesn't have such thing. So yeah, we now have a big boost of popularity. Actually pretty perfect right after our controversial law change to familial marriage, so that is probably quite good. Yeah. Ruler popularity is keeping legitimacy topped off, rather. Yeah, things are looking pretty good here. Excuse me. Arashat falls ill. Arashat has sent word that she has fallen ill. Perhaps if she is wealthy enough, she can seek treatment of her own volition. Otherwise, we could always step in if her condition worsens. Well, that's not great. She has an infection. Also, she is cruel already, which is kind of nice. I guess I could force her to seek treatment by paying a bunch of money, but this is not worth 200 gold. Infection isn't that serious, so hopefully she just recovers. She's very young. Health is probably not a serious concern at the minute. And we do have, I think, a pretty good physician. So I think we should be fine. I'll just roll the dice on that one. If she does die, at the minute, the succession would pass to Giramilki, which I'm sure he would love. He already has a son, so that is a secure matter. So we shall see what happens with either of those situations there. Not too much we can do to really influence it without spending outrageous amounts of money, which I don't really want to do. So it is what it is. Either way, so what I was saying earlier... Oh, we have barbs? Oh, we do have barbs. That's a big barb force. What kind of barbarians are you? You are Yabrudui barbarians. So unfortunately, not the kind that I want. These are actually different culture group barbs. I think I'm going to let them go ahead and, because barbs, once they occupy a location, they drop off one of their cohorts to live in the location as a tribesman, kind of like migrators. I'll let them go ahead and drop off people around here, because these are areas that I'm doing assimilation in, so I'll assimilate them over time. This is just more tribesmen to work with, so honestly not that bad. Sure, the civ level gets kind of shredded, but civ level around here isn't amazing anyways, so this is not that big of a deal. I think this is fine. I don't really have the numbers to really react, or I guess we could raise the levy now. Also, we're back down to 5, so this really is, the math of how this works is really mysterious, but whatever the case. Oh, you know, it's probably because of our stability. Yeah, it's almost for sure because of the population happiness reduction, which means that happiness does actually affect levy size, which is not something the tooltip says. I wish I could just, like, I might just literally at some point like open up the code of the game and try to like figure out for myself how this works, because it's so mysterious how cohort size works. Autonomy. The industrious folks of Dammâseq have excelled themselves, contributing their own personal funds to develop the infrastructure of their fine city. We hope this attitude can be mirrored by some of our less loyal subjects. So we could get a granary for free in Dammâseq, which realistically more so means the value of dismantling a granary, or 1k manpower. Okay, that's a very good option. Yeah, that's a very good option. Or lose popularity and get 23 gold. 23 gold is definitely less valuable than 1k manpower, so we're going to seize and divert these resources for the military. Losing 5 popularity is perfectly fine at the minute, and 1k manpower speaks for itself. Alright, these barbs can just go for it. They're going to drop off people around here. We'll just assimilate them. It is what it is. And in fact, now that we have this manpower, we could do some more colonization. We'd go into negative PI. I don't think there's any downside to being a negative PI, though. At least I don't think so. It's not the same as Treasury, where you have like a bankruptcy mechanic. I think we can probably chance it with negative PI. And I think we probably want to go ahead... okay, so if we want to focus on Damascus Oasis, this is going to require 4 colonizations, and then we're able to then get this mission here. Or alternatively, this one requires the Sa'aru province. This only needs 2 colonizations, not 4. We get this kind of goofy modifier in this random spot. Claim on Carnium doesn't matter, and this one gives us 5 Dammâseq Freemen in Carnium. This is actually pretty good. I think this is a priority. They're going to be in Carnium, which isn't really the right spot, but they might move over. They will eventually move over probably to Ainthakar, so you can worry about that later. I think we'll focus on colonizing over here first, also to improve our border with Tyr. Now, like I was saying earlier, I kept getting interrupted, but I think that, let's see here. I think there shouldn't be any downside to being a negative PI. Yeah, this shouldn't be possible, but I think this colonization mechanic ignores how PI is supposed to work with not having a negative... whatever the case, we'll just let it go back up. Yeah, so here we go. We actually have a couple of... We have one... Actually, no, we got the Dammâseq from the colonization, so we didn't get anything there technically. Whatever the case, so the situation with Tyr. I think that... So they are allied with Samaria. That's actually kind of a powerful alliance. Samaria is bringing another 50 population. So yeah, so these guys just got, I think, a round of assimilation done because they're up to 64. What are we at? We're at 86. These guys almost for sure have 5 cohorts, and these guys may have 5. This is a 4 to 5 range type population number. So we're gonna guesstimate around 10 cohorts between the two of them versus my 5. Unless I pick up a big ally or use mercenaries. This mercenary force is 9 cohorts, so this would definitely tip the scale. I think with the mercs that live here, we could safely deal with a larger enemy coalition, sort of under these circumstances. But whatever the case, we're going to see what ends up making sense. We need to fight Tyr. The reason I'm talking about Tyr so much is they control the rest of Carnium now, which is obviously a region I need for finishing off my mission tree. At least I think I need it. We could trade with the, where? The Amarian Revolt? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll trade with them, sure. Now, are these guys going to come and siege down Dammâseq? Because that's not going to work for me. Why should we to pay them off? I don't want to pay them off, but let me just see here. Actually, these guys would go for cheap. 35 gold only. I think if they come to Dammâseq, or if they start to come towards Dammâseq, I'll pay them off. I don't want them to sack Dammâseq. That's obviously not in the plans. Minor addendum. Ahiram, I guess making up for his previous embezzlement, has suggested a small addendum to an often referenced law. Yada yada yada. 6 stability for 10 PI. This is worth it, even if we're in the negative still. Let's see what these guys do. Will they do anything? Oh, they've been paying off by Hazi? Oh my god. Hazi's already told them to not go back there. I think if they're just going to stand here, that's not great. Because then they're just like... Yeah, that's really not going to work for me. I guess we'll see what they do. They're not... Oh, hold on. Marba, that's fine. Actually, you know what? Marba is in an area that's not doing assimilation, so I'm going to pay them off now. I don't want them to drop off population where I'd have to change my policy. So, get out of here. Alright. We bring good news. The violent Mega Knight has accepted our offer. Will no longer terrorize our land. They're probably headed over to Kumidu, who we had that tribal event with before, so hopefully Kumidu can forgive me for that. Actually, no, they're heading back up to Hazi, or they're maybe going to Hasabu. Whoever they're going to is about to have a bad day, so... Alright, they're pretty weak now, or they've been weakened to some extent. Actually, we have enough manpower to do another colonization I just thought about. What's this? Base metals. Did I get more base metals? Hold on. I did. Why do I have another copy of base metal? Oh, you know what? My previous base metal trader probably stopped. Alright, who do I want to trade with here? Let's trade more with the Egyptians. We're adopting their ways. May as well trade with them even further. Seems good to me. Oh, some more trading. Livestock for Petra. I'll trade with Petra, sure. Petra is about to consume Moab, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, some big nations are beginning to form in this area, so things are definitely getting a bit more interesting. I think we wait one more year before we start to make any plans. I guess we should go ahead and colonize. Actually, we have to wait because of colonization progress over here. What's the timeline for this? 27th of June. Alright, we can wait for that. Being a negative PI doesn't seem to have any downside, so we can just keep this running as it is. Bountiful Harvest. Yep, I'll take 3 stability. We're back up to almost break-even stability trend, but basically almost break-even stability too. Hopefully our population, our cohorts go back up as well, but we shall see. Yeah, against this alliance team, I'm not really comfortable declaring without a helper. But I probably would want to get somebody who doesn't have an interest in this area and would only kind of come down to be involved. Maybe Ebla? It would still be my ally, so that's not a bad option. The issue is Ebla could drag me into other wars, like against the Ugarit War, so that might be a little risky. Maybe somebody, ooh. So Petra, I think now has a truce with Moab? Yeah, they have a couple years of truce. Moab got split apart here. What's Moab's population? That's Petra, hold on. Moab is Batiri. 50 or so Batiri, so that's probably 4 to 5 cohorts. That would help. They'd have to move through other people to get to me. Maybe I should pick somebody that actually helps me strategically with these locations. So if I'm fighting Tyr and Samaria, one possible good ally, I could ally with Megiddo, which is a great name for a nation. They're not very strong, but they do have one cohort, and they would... I guess this is a pretty bad ally, though, because all they do is they distract them with their unfortified capital, but that won't last very long. A better ally would be somebody like Jericho. They're allied with Rabat Ammon, which wouldn't matter for this context. They would still ally with me, though. I guess they have enough slots. They would distract Samaria on 2 borders, and they may also pull down tier forces. One thing we could do is use our 2 ally slots to ally with 2 people. I think one thing we can do here, given that our target is a pretty limited thing, it's actually safer to ally with multiple people, even if they're going to take stuff, because I don't really care about getting everything in this war. I might not even bother going into the Phoenicia or Jordan Rift Valley regions. I don't really need to. Because I need to also fight Kaman to get... Oh, you know what? These guys are fighting Moab and Sama. Let me wait on the... Because I need the Kaman stuff for my event, my decision. I think let's plan to fight Tyr and Samaria just to get Tyr's remaining section of the region, of the Hermon region. But then we're not going to go beyond that, so we're just going to do a very quick war, maybe with a fight or two. We'll just siege down the fort here at Amayim and sack the city of Apec, and then get this stuff, piece these guys out. Maybe my allies get some occupation. I'm not necessarily going to give my allies anything. This is mostly just to kick Tyr out of the region and get control of it myself. I guess I could, well, I think Tyr having this one section over here is a bit awkward, but whatever, who cares. So with that in mind, I don't think I need to get allied up quite yet. I think we wait a bit longer. Our levy is ready to go. We're back up to 6. You know what, actually, I think I might raise my levy right now while we have 6 cohorts, just so we can keep the 6 cohorts, because we seem to be fluctuating a little bit between 5 and 6. So because I think I'll go to war probably in 805, although there's not really any reason to wait, because I'm not going to be changing to a war omen. I'm going to keep probably going with the Shara, even though we're going to be at war, so we could actually go to war sooner. I think we get raised up here. So what's the plan of approach here? I think we probably want to just rush over to Apec and sack it right away, and then go up and start working on Aniam. This is the capital, obviously. Oh, wait, this is Tyr's, like, actual capital? What? Tyr moved their capital over... Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, Aniam is not part of Tyr. What am I talking about? This is the Ricatian Revolt. Okay, yeah, never mind. I got excited over nothing. Okay, so I completely just... The colors are so similar, that's why I got confused there. Maybe you were screaming at the screen while I was talking about all that. Whatever the case, another brain fog moment. Maybe I have long COVID or something, but... These guys, I have no claim on. Actually, Tyr, I don't have a claim on either. So let's do this in the right order, maybe, for this game. Let's get claims going, and then do this other stuff. So one thing I could do, actually, you know what? I just realized what I need to do. In 805, I get my War Council. I can get the claim on Tyr or on the Revolt. Either one would actually be fine for this purpose. Tyr is a bit better, because then I have that claim for later. I think we get the claim on Tyr from the War Council, if we get that option. We have a couple of options here. So all the neighbors we could get, so we're not going to raise our levy right now, actually. Well, I guess we could raise the levy and then go to war on 1st of January, but then we have to get our allies. I think because we have to get our allies in reaction to what claims we get, we don't... Well, that being said, that's just going to take one more month, so we could raise our forces, get the claim, and then raise our allies in reaction to where the claim is, and then still have the month go by for morale recovery, so... That being said, though, would I attack north? Probably not. These guys, I don't think I can take on this little trio. That being said, though, it's probably 2 to 3 cohorts, 2 cohorts, and maybe 1 to 2 cohorts. This might actually be fine. I don't know. I think we just wait. There's no need to raise our levy right this second and just have them stand around, slowing down our economic recovery. So we wait. Let's see what the claim gives us, then we'll react with the claim in mind. Alright. In the meantime, I'm going to slow down to speed 3 as well, now that we're approaching the end of our long period of waiting. Check and see that everyone is assimilating. Alright, we have run out of people to assimilate in some of these spots. Let me address this here. Let's move some people over. And over here. Here we go. Alright. Oh! Kaman has claimed Siri Basani. Really? Well. That is an interesting development. Kaman absolutely can't beat me one-on-one. Even with the help of their little friends, Megado. There's Megado again, although they're getting obliterated by somebody. Oh yeah, Megado and Kaman are both fighting Moab and Sama, so things are not going too well for these guys. Yeah. So, against Kaman and whatever's left of Megado, I'm not that scared, so this shouldn't be a real threat. Even if they declare war on me and I have to raise my army suddenly, they have to get through Ain Thakar first, so I think we're fine. Oh yeah, what was I doing? I was checking over here. Alright, make sure that we have population assimilating. There we go, perfect. Move someone over here. This micromanagement is going to really pay off in the long run, I assure you. Make sure that we're not moving. Actually, we can move the Barada slave from here. From Erna. Alright, perfect. Just make sure everything is assimilating with somebody. This micromanagement is how we keep up the arms race with the other nations. Population-wise, or cohort-wise. Hold on. Let me not click off these by accident. Alright. Simulation is happening everywhere. Okay, I think we're looking fine here. Most of these are slave and tribesman assimilations, but that's still better than nothing. That still boosts up happiness overall. Yeah, so I think what we do, we keep waiting for that claim, or for the War Council, and then whatever the claim is. No, I want the claim to be on tier, because that's the most important to get that region under our control. Although, Kaman isn't a bad option either. We don't have a claim on them right now, obviously. But I do need, if I were to... Actually, hold on, let me check this out of the way. If I did get Kaman, I would be able to form Aram, basically right away, become the Aramean nation. I mean, we'd still obviously be led by Dammâseq, but we'd be called Aram. So that is definitely a good option. That supercharges Dammâseq with that modifier. We'll see if that makes sense in a moment. Scholar of the Divine. Melkart Shama, or Mitba, has by all accounts remained a scholar of the Divine Man for much of his life. It caused some embarrassment, therefore, when he was discovered extorting the illegal temple to an egregiously unreasonable degree. Before reprimanding him, it must be said it would be expeditious to our efforts to influence him to brush this under the table. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and get the free 5 loyalty and a 21 PI. Works for me. Let's do another colonization. Let's colonize Masada now. We're allowed to. There we go. And now we can do the Sa'aru mission as well as having more of a border with Tyr to take advantage of here. Alright, so Kiswa, which is this random plains tile, gets a Conqueror statue. This might change over to pick Darik, which would be better, but this is fine, honestly. This isn't a game changer. Let's go for it now. And then this, we actually do need now the rest of the stuff from Tyr to get Conqueror Carnium, but we get 5 Dammâseq Freemen in Carnium for this, which is really valuable. Now, it might be time to go ahead and do making gains to get local pop happiness and tax in Fissure Springs. There is still some value in waiting as long as we can just to get more time with this modifier. But doing all this would get us down to Triumph, and I think we can get to Triumph from here if we were to do this right now. It's population output for the whole nation and citizen happiness. I think we wait a little bit longer. Let's do the Tyr Sumeria war first, or whatever the claim is. We'll see what the council gives us, or the what's it called, the War Council. Yeah, so the Vacation Revolt would be a bit of a waste of the War Council, but it is, you know, a feasible claim. I guess one nice thing, actually, is because they wouldn't be part of this war as well, would I need to occupy any forts around here? The closest fort would be over in Rahab, so I might be able to not even bother without taking any forts nearby. I don't know how that would really work. I haven't seen this kind of situation before. So as I expected, they didn't move their capital. It's still over at Tyr, where I would expect it to be. So, yeah, that is what that is. Alright, Dammâseq grows steadily. Things are looking pretty good. Got this music, it's great. Are they war? No, they're not at war. These guys are at war. Jericho is joined in here. Who is Jericho involved with? Jericho is in the alliance with Sama and Rabat Aman. So they're fighting Kaman and Megiddo as well. Okay. Yeah, we might be wading into another messy kind of Canaanite internal conflict here, as we did a few episodes ago. But that worked out pretty well, so I feel pretty good that good things are awaiting us. We have our succession worked out. Everything is looking good. Our daughter has a son who died. Oh no! And he died at the start of the year. That's really sad. He passed away while being born. Aw, I'm sorry. She's in mourning about that. Yeah, that sucks. That's a real bummer. I mean, it happens a lot in this time period, but you never like to see it. Yeah, my boy, his son is surviving, thankfully. Hopefully we can avoid any more family tragedy. I'm now 47 years old. I'm graying, but my fire has not gone out yet. Great conquests await for Imperator, even now that he's in the more in the latter half of his life. He's done such a great job for the first part, and you know, his wars are not done yet. Okay, 1st of January, 805. Let us go ahead and reapply Ashara, I think. No need to play around. Pop assimilation is the way to go. Up to 93, Dammâseq. I forgot to raise my army. I guess I was waiting to do it until now. So let's do our War Council now and see what our options are. So in terms of what I want to see, either Tyr or Command are my main targets. Tyr to finish off this region, and Command, or to partially finish off, and then after we'll separately fight Rakatian Revolt. And then Command gives us access to Sama and Command, which are 2 of the cities I need, or 2 of the locations I need for Unite the Army and People. So this is just the last thing I need for this decision. Once we do this decision, we're going to definitely leave, not necessarily the early game, but sort of the earliest half of the early game. I think that for this campaign, I'm considering, basically, once we are like midway towards uniting the Canaanites, then we're kind of in the mid-game. But just doing this may not necessarily mean we're in the mid-game quite yet. The mid-game and early game, these are just kind of conceptual ideas. They're not necessarily like real things that have a definitive term or whatnot, whatever the case. So let's go ahead and do the War Council. So what I want to see is either Command or Tyr, or the Rakatian Revolt would actually also be a fine target. Alternatively from that, we could, I guess we do also neighbor Kumidu, who we don't really have any reason to go for. They also have that powerful fort, which dissuades me. Hazi is a pretty good option, but they don't control very valuable land. Neither does Hasabu, for that matter. Up here, it's a bit more barren. Down here, there's some, like, actually, this is hills. This is not even farmland. It looks like a farmland tile, but it's hills. So yeah, actually, this whole valley is not very valuable at all. Yeah, alternatively, we could get a claim on Sami, who isn't a high priority target, so I'm not going to go for them, but most likely. So let's go ahead and see who we get. Summon the War Council. Okay, War Council assembles. All Dammâseq sleeps as the War Council drags well on to the night. Last time we summoned the War Council, we snuck into our besieged palace to do it. This time we can do it with no such sneakery. Assembled are 3 brilliant Dammâseqian minds summoned to provide insight, each determined to convince us of the validity of their argument. Baal, a well-loved and competent leader, Milkiton, a cunning yet cautious leader of men, and Melkart Piles, something of a wild card, whose opinion is regarded as a novel. This guy, middle age, hit this guy like a truck. Look at that male pattern baldness. That is brutal. Whatever the case, despite significant discourse, ale, and arguments, no consensus is made on the target for future expansion. So first of all, before we look at who wants what, loyalty-wise, you're fine, and you're fine. So all these would be probably fine. So Baal believes fervently that the Comidian province of Hazabu should be rightful ours. So Kumidu is the guy with the big fort, so we're not going to go for that. Milkiton and Melkart, however, wish us to focus on Kaman or Rakatian Revolt, respectively. Okay, so we don't get a tier claim from this mission, so we will have to get the tier claim probably ourselves with PI, which is fine. Just take some time. So in terms of who is easier to attack, for obvious reasons, Rakatian Revolt is the far easier target for a quick little war. We could do a quick little war against them with just our levy. Shouldn't be any problem at all, just to get that piece of territory. Kaman, who's currently fighting this big war, might be a bit more complicated, both because they have an ally, not that Megiddo is very strong, but they themselves do have some number of cohorts compared to these guys here who have probably not even any cohorts at all, because it's just a revolt in control of this fort. Kaman, though, also does give us access to that event faster, so let's see here. We would have to get a claim on Kaman through some other means, if not through the War Council. This is actually kind of a tough call. These are both really strong options. And getting control of this fort actually is kind of good before the tier war, because then this fort helps us in the tier war. I'm not going to destroy this fort while the tier war is looming. So this is actually kind of interesting in that regard as well. There's also a chance that Tyr attacks the Rakatian Revolt on their own before we get the chance to. And this is kind of a swing fort in the area. There's not really any forts around here. Both myself and Tyr, actually this is Katie's, both myself and Tyr do have forts. They're about the same distance away, so this fort in Aniam is kind of the main fort in the region, or in the area. So whoever controls this gets a big advantage at the start of this war. So I think with all that in mind, I think I will actually go for the Racation Revolt claim over the other one, which may be a surprise. But I think controlling this fort ourselves is a big game changer ahead of our war with Tyr. And we can come for Command later, we can just get a claim on them through other means. And I feel like spending PI for a claim on this one revolt is a bit of a waste compared to on Command. So let's go ahead and say that Mel Cartpilis speaks with clarity. We shall conquer Racation Revolt. Alright. And I think, with that in mind, we now can raise the levy. Raise them at Haspin. And I actually don't think I need to raise my maintenance because they shouldn't have any armies at all. They have only 3 pops, so we should be able to get away with a very cheeky, unpaid fight with Racation Revolt. I think we should go for it right now. No need to even really think about it. Alright, the Canaanite city-state of Racation Revolt is rallied together to defend. Alright, in we come. They should not have any cohorts at all with only 3 population. Yeah. They might have 1 cohort, but I don't even think so. This should be completely free. I think we just go for it. And yeah, we've already done everything else we need to do for now. Let's just get the siege going. Fortress under siege. Yeah, so this should be basically free. Although we have to wait for the siege to actually complete to get it, but I think this was probably the right call. So Samaria is fighting Jaffa, but they haven't called in Tyr, which is interesting. I don't know exactly why. Samaria is the aggressor, it looks like, although they're not doing that great. Jaffa has already started to take some stuff. So, interesting situation for sure. Alright. Speed this up. I just have to wait for the siege to finish, and then we can get this basically for free. Oh, we're gonna get status quos forever, aren't we? Well, at least I'm not paying my forces, so that at least is nice. Eager consort. Alright, so she can join the king. You've seen this event before. That's perfectly fine. Come on. Oh, we got a breach. Perfect. I'm not going to do an assault. I want to preserve my manpower for possibly my... Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to do... Well, you know, actually, yeah, let's do an assault. No, I don't have any... No, I shouldn't do an assault. I don't have any morale, so the assault would be overly costly for no reason. Osama might actually take on Kaman's land, which would be interesting. I guess we'll see what happens with that. The breach will speed up the siege either way, so I'm happy with that. We just keep waiting. I may actually favorite my daughter to see what she's up to. Not much at the minute, but she is my heir, so I should keep an eye on her. Maybe it'll say if she gets pregnant, so I can keep a better track of that. Alright, this should be a pretty unproblematic little siege here. Water shortage, perfect. Let's see a 21% win. This is the world's least important siege to win fast, but I am happy if that does happen. That would be nice. Nope, supply shortage, that was good. These guys have expanded down this way. That's fine, though. Defender's Desert. Come on, let's see it. Come on. 42%. Defender's Desert. Come on. You're almost there. Just one good roll here is all we need. Oh my gosh, water. Really? I want to get this in at the end of the episode here. Gonna make me do this at the start of the next episode. Come on. Let's see it. There we go. Sacking of Antium. Ooh. Yeah, gentle looting. I don't want to depopulate this. Okay, that's going to be it for this episode of the Dammâseq campaign. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.